was I for that?
It's been a great couple of days in the Big Apple so far. In fact, the Rockies have taken a big bite out of the Big Apple as they've won 2 in a row. 2-1 behind clutch hitting and outstanding pitching early from Tyler Anderson. And the last night we saw long balls from Mark Reynolds, and then Cargo, the finishing touches on this one, a 3-run jack late as the Rockies rolled 6-1 on Friday evening. A little bit late, but we're ready for baseball on Saturday night in Flushing Meadows. Welcome inside Citi Field. Game 3 of this 4-game set between the Rockies and Mets, and a special day for all Mets fans as Mike Piazza's number was retired earlier tonight, and it was a grand ceremony just 6 days after Mike went into Cooperstown. Had to do it with the tarp on the field, but very gracious and appreciative of Mets fans, and they gave him a long-standing ovation, as you'd expect. And Piazza's number now retired next to Tom Seaver, Gil Hodges, Casey Stengel, and of course Jackie Robinson.
The number retired.
Best offensive catcher of all times when you look at the numbers, 427 home runs. And for me, I will never forget, any baseball fan, really any American, will never forget Mike Piazza's home run the first day that there was sports once again in the city after 9/11. He hit that dramatic home run against, at the time, the hated Atlanta Braves, and it was a goosebump moment.
I watched that today. Surprisingly, I was laying in my bed in my hotel room, and the game was on the network, and it was emotional. Even watching it back, you're watching the handshakes before the game even started, right after the national anthem, and that home run to center field at Shea Stadium. It's 410 to center field. That is hit so far.
That was a bomb.
That was a bomb.
And
Piazza,
it turned
one of my
around a
favorites.
deficit, and it gave the Mets appropriately, and I don't think anybody outside of Atlanta was not rooting for New York that evening, and it gave the Mets a victory.
Pushed them to the World Series.
It pushed them on to grand heights. It was a special night in New York, and Mike Piazza feted this evening, and deservedly so.
I was excited to see it.
Yep, absolutely. Now on to the business of baseball, and the Rockies trying to make it 3 straight here in New York. They're unbeaten against the Mets this year after losing all 7 encounters last year as the Mets went on to capture the National League pennant. What a night last night for Charlie Blackmon. 4 hits as the Rockies got after a left-hander a little bit last night. Steven Matz didn't score a lot of runs against them, but they had 10 hits. And they look to keep that same productivity tonight. DJ LeMahieu will bat second. Then Nolan Arenado. Cargo at 317. He's 4 for 7, a couple home runs against Bartolo Colon. Story, Dahl, Reynolds, Hunley, De La Rosa. What I'll tell you about this matchup, as much success as Bart, as he's known to his teammates, has had, the Rockies have really gotten after him. This lineup is 19 for 41 against him, a .463 average. And his first pitch, a fastball. You will hear that all night long. That's basically all he throws. This is high, ball 1 on Blackmon.
I mean, you're right. 89% fastball percentage. It has a ton of movement. Walt Weiss likened it to a Greg Maddux fastball. Velocity you saw, 88 miles an hour. It's probably a click below that, but it will move. A lot of depth, a lot of running movement. He will not walk many.
You look at that pitch. I mean, it was out of the strike zone high. It started at Charlie's shoulder, and it came back and wasn't that far off the plate. He has ridiculous movement. And this ball is popped up foul ground, giving it a look as Flores. He will not have a play. How about last night? You're facing Steven Matz, one of the better left-handers in the game. Blackmon throws out 4 hits. Cargo ends up with a couple hits. Now the 3-run home run was off Bastardo, but another lefty. The Rockies destroyed left-handed pitching yesterday with 2 lefties.
And Elias ended up having a note that it hadn't been done for a long time, where you had 2 lefties as Charlie Blackmon goes with a strikeout. 2 separate lefties, one with 4 hits and one with 4 RBIs. And the last time that happened was back in 2010. That was Andy LaRoche, Adam LaRoche, and Kelly Johnson. So the type of night that Charlie and Cargo has, it was a rare evening.
Well, I was talking to DJ in the clubhouse today, and looking at that sequence against Blackmon that resulted in a strikeout, that is exactly, word for word, the description given by LeMahieu that occurred to Blackmon. He said he's going to throw that moving, sinking fastball, 86, 87. When he gets 2 strikes, he'll elevate, and all of a sudden he'll hit 91. That's what happened to Blackmon. 91-mile-an-hour fastball elevated, he swung through it. DJ's 1 for 2 against Colon, and that's a strike. DJ looking back and asking Alan Porter where that pitch was. He thought it was up. Colon, not surprisingly, his age, his appearance, and his success, a fan favorite here in New York. And that is strike 3. That was right there. 2 outs on 2 strikeouts, and that'll bring up Nolan. Here's the Mets defensively. And they just picked up Justin Ruggiano, literally signed him today. He's playing center field. Cespedes in left, Granderson in right, Flores, Cabrera, Walker, Kelly Johnson in the infield. Darno's doing the catching again. And the reason he was signed is Jose Reyes. They hope to get him back, but the intercostal strain is such that they placed him on the disabled list today. So they've lost a couple of players to the DL in the last 2 days. They had to put Juan Lagares on the DL yesterday. So Ruggiano, who was with Texas briefly earlier this year, the 34-year-old, signed, and here he is starting tonight in center field in New York. This ball's hit in the air to Ruggiano. And it's a 1-2-3 start for Bartolo Colon. Jorge De La Rosa will be on the mound when we come back. With Ryan Spilborghs and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. And Curtis Granderson's going to lead things off for New York this evening. A struggling offensive team, to say the least. And he'll be followed in the Southwest batting order by Neil Walker. Yoenis Cespedes was 0 for 4 last night. He'll bat third. Wilmer Flores, as Drupal Cabrera slides up to the 5th spot. Each night it seems like a new lineup for Terry Collins. d'Arnaud, Ruggiano, Kelly Johnson, and then Colon. Jorge De La Rosa, 5 straight quality starts out on the road. And he is ready to go tonight, looking for career victory number 100.
Let's go. Let's get it. Last start for him in Baltimore. 6 in the 3rd innings, only 4 hits, 1 earned run. There was 2 runs scored off him. 1 came out on error. He's been mixing his fastball. It's fastball, cutter. He's using the curveball occasionally. You see the 9%. The 33% split finger, doesn't use it that often until he gets to 2 strikes now, and that's what's so important for him, is once he does get to 2 strikes, it's going to be over 50%, but it's taking some of the guys off of his fastball, which is so important.
So here's pitch number 1 of the evening, and Granderson takes it down the middle at 90 for a strike. De La Rosa, 25 games above 500 in a Rockies uniform at 84 and 59. That's off the plate, 1-1. Don't see it much, but that was back-to-back fastballs. Granderson 1 for 9 lifetime against De La Rosa. 2-1. You know, it's interesting. The guy that's had the most success against De La Rosa was not put in the lineup by Terry Collins. That's James Loney. That's a line drive right at DJ, 1 out. James Loney is 8 for 18 with a home run and 7 driven in career-wise against De La Rosa, but because it was left on left, I guess he didn't get the call. Quality starts in a row. We were discussing that a moment ago. De La Rosa with 5 straight on the road. Only guys ahead of him, Colby Lewis, Aaron Sanchez, and Michael Wacha. So Neil Walker, the switch-hitting second baseman out of Pittsburgh, from the right side. Walker came into this series in a horrendous slump. He swung it better in the series. Last night he had a couple of hits, and on Thursday night he had 3 hits, so 5 hits. He's been the quote-unquote offensive star in this series for New York. They've scored only 2 runs. Mets have lost 4 straight.
Well, it felt like last night the sky was falling in Queens. Some Mets fans were quickly filing out of the stadium, yelling. Season ticket holders right below our booth.
That's back up the middle. Look at it. 1-out single for Walker. Well, that's the way things go in New York. 4-game losing streak, and it's like Armageddon. And Terry Collins did something unusual. He had a team meeting before he opened up the doors to the media right after the ball game, and he said, we just need to relax, guys, because somebody cranked the music up, and all the reporters outside could hear all of a sudden was Bon Jovi blaring on the speakers. There you go. Cranks Bon Jovi to lighten mood after the loss.
And the team beat writers have been harping on the New York Mets, and Terry Collins, and really what he was sticking up for was the team is struggling so bad with runners in scoring position. 202 team batting average, over 700 at bats.
That's not only bad, it's historically bad. If it remains so for the season, it'll be the 2nd worst batting average with runners in scoring position ever recorded for a team.
So Terry was trying to call him and say, hey, to the media guys, let's lighten the mood in here. Let's stop harping on this stuff. Well, no matter how they harp on it, the team's not doing it.
Moves Cespedes off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Cespedes playing with a very sore quad. 0 for 4 last night. Last night the Rockies behind Chatwood got a couple of double plays. This ball's lifted to deep left field, way back, and it is caught against the wall by Dahl. Off the bat, I wasn't sure. And Mets fans had high hopes that would clear the fence. 2 outs. Here's the Rockies defensively. We focus on DJ LeMahieu tonight. DJ is first in range factor in the National League. He's first in number of chances fielded. 4th overall in fielding percentage. He's had another great year with the glove. Two outs, and here's Wilmer Flores. And this is popped up and out of play.
Wilmer Flores has had a great month of July. 7 home runs. That's 5th in baseball. As the Rockies were looking over scouting reports and trying to figure out what players to try to avoid, don't let them beat you. Yoenis Cespedes obviously is one of them, and this is guy number 2.
Runner going, and Nick Hundley's throw off balance into center field. And by the time Walker could react, he had no chance of moving up. So it's a stolen base for Walker. That's a rarity for the Mets. Maybe that's something else Terry Collins can bring. We're going to loosen up. We're going to get more aggressive.
Jorge is notoriously slow to home plate. It's typically just a looker. He'll check, set his sights towards home plate, and lift his leg. Already seen several teams take advantage of the cadence.
The Pirates earlier this year that stole 5 bags on him.
Yep.
Now a runner in scoring position for Flores.
That was the Reds. Reds game is when they
the
stole.
Reds,
Yep.
okay.
I'm trying to remember that game too.
But you're absolutely right. There have been a couple of teams that have taken advantage of it. It was something he worked on when he was relegated to the bullpen. Tempo was one, He eliminated the pause in his delivery, and the other was out of the stretch. Broken bat fluke, and that's going to score a run.
Two outs with runners in scoring position. The Mets, we just mentioned how bad they were with runners in scoring position in general. 2 outs, 164 batting average. Wilmer Flores able to come through with the jam job, and I'm sure that makes Terry Collins thank Bon Jovi, getting his team to loosen up.
You know, a lot of times people will look at that and say, well, it's good luck. He broke his bat. It's really a good pitch, a bad result. There is something to that. However, if you miss up here with a broken bat, you have a chance at doing exactly that, dropping it into the outfield for a bloop single, as opposed to if the ball was down, it's going to be a broken bat and a ball on the ground, and more than likely an out. Asdrubal Cabrera fouls it off. So that stolen base and the inability, Jorge, especially as a left-hander, to keep a guy with average speed at first base, hurts the Rockies here in the first frame.
That stolen base for Neil Walker was his 3rd of the season.
They do not have a base stealer. I mean, the closest they had was Reyes. Fouled off past Tim Tuffle.
You think with the leadoff hitter like Curtis Granderson years ago is one of the better leadoff hitters in the game with steal bases. He has 3 stolen bases.
They don't go. The club leader is Juan Lagares, who's on the DL. He has 4. And now a delayed steal, throw to second, out there. With Flores on a delayed steal, battery read a dirt ball, tried to move up, he's cut down. A run for the Mets. A Walker single, a stolen base, and a soft single by Flores. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the 2016 Toyota Tundra and your hometown Toyota stores, and by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Rainy City Field on a Saturday evening. Neither team was able to take batting practice outside, and we had a delay off the top of somewhere in the neighborhood of a half hour. It was the Mike Piazza celebration and number retirement. Took a little bit of time prior to first pitch. That fastball is away. Last night, Cargo finally got a pitch over the plate from Bastardo, and he hit that 448 feet. That was a monster shot. He owns 2 home runs against Cologne in 7 career at-bats, 4 for 7. In the Rockies lineup, 19 of 41 against Cologne, who has a career .945 ERA in 4 starts against Colorado. These are guys, Billy, I would think you have to really focus on opposite gap. Otherwise, you're going to play into his hands, right?
It's so similar to when I used to face Brandon Webb, a guy that had a fantastic sinker, and you would have to change sights. Looking up in the zone. Fastball at 92.
And he has struck out 3 of the first 4. He gets to 2 strikes. He elevates the fastball with some giddy up still. Here's the fastball velocity by season. We go back just a few years, and it's down on average. It's an 87-mile-an-hour two-seamer. But you see, he still has arm strength. And you go back to when Walt was competing against him. That's right, Walt Weiss faced him. And he was a guy who was throwing in the mid to upper 90s then.
There's a time frame when he was with the Cleveland Indians. It was between this kid, Jarrett Wright. Remember Jarrett Wright?
I do.
Hard-throwing righty, and Bartolo Colon.
Colon won a Cy Young back in 2005. A long and distinguished resume. Story fouls that pitch off. Trevor last night was 1 for 5, scored a run in the 6th inning. Put the Rockies ahead. It was a Nick Hundley base hit that would score him. Colon has not worked on 3 days rest since that Cy Young year of 2005. It's been 11 seasons since he was asked to go on short rest. It's the 2nd game of the Twin Bill on Tuesday. That's the last ball game the Mets won against the Cardinals. And that ball's hit sharply to short. Cabrera throws out Story.
I was reading an article on Bartolo, and he's thrown over 48,000 pitches in the major leagues. And over the last year or so, he's decided he's not going to have his bullpen session. After guys start, about 2 days later, they throw a bullpen. And whether it's 30 to 35 pitches, that's typically what they do. Well, Bartolo has stopped doing that. He wanted to save those extra throws for the game. And Noah Syndergaard, who's throwing tomorrow, has decided, especially he's had some arm fatigue, that he was going to try to do the same thing.
He's got a bone spur in his elbow as well. So Thor has backed off what he's done between starts. David Dahl at the plate. 5-game hitting streak to begin his career. And a good take again. It's 2-0. This time we've seen Colon behind 2-0. Dahl got the emergency start yesterday when Ryan Rayburn during pregame activities got hit on the knee. A couple of pitchers were throwing in the outfield. The ball got away and it hit him on the knee, and it swelled up so much that Rayburn was scratched from the lineup. Dahl came in, he threw out a couple hits and had a big walk. No swing, 3-1. Check it out with Chris Caccione.
For the people at home, and you see that pitch, it's called a hip shot from a right-hander to a left-handed batter. You start the baseball off the hitter's hip and let it come back over the plate. Very difficult for lefties to swing it.
That's a fair ball, and Colon has worked 2 1-2-3 innings to begin the ball game. Mets got a run in the first. They're up 1-0.
The number 31 became the 4th Mets number to be retired. Mike Piazza ceremony, and it was emotional. And the thing about Mike Piazza going into the Hall of Fame last week that's interesting is he is the lowest draft pick by far to be in Cooperstown, a 62nd round pick. It's our Coors Light cold hard facts. When you're talking about players today, Jared Dyson of Kansas City was a 50th round pick. Tony Sipp, the reliever, has been around 45th round. Brad Brock, an all-star this year for the Orioles, 42nd. Seth Lugo is in the Mets bullpen, 34th. And then you've got Boone Logan, Mark Reynolds, and Scott Oberg as late draft picks for the Rockies. But guys, that was 1988. Piazza was draft pick number 1,390 that year, and he's in the Hall of Fame, and his number's retired.
Well, Mark, what an interesting contrast, because as you so eloquently described a 62nd round pick in Piazza going in, it was the first time that a number 1 pick overall went in. Ken Griffey Jr. was 1-1.
The previous highest pick that's in there was Reggie Jackson, who was number 2 overall. And that was, I believe, in 1966 or 67, right after the draft started.
And it's funny that you bring that up. Cabrera swings and misses. It's 2-1. Because the Mets were sort of involved. When Reggie Jackson was drafted 2nd, the Mets had the first pick. They took a catcher, I want to say his name was Steve Chilcott, who never got to the big leagues, and the Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson went 2nd. So when the Mets back then couldn't get it right on the field, they couldn't get it right in the draft room evidently either.
Oh, to be a Mets fan.
It was a torturous activity in the 60s until the miracle Mets of 69. 2-2 on Asdrubal Cabrera. Three and 2.
Going back to Mike Piazza, he was able to get 83% of the votes of the Hall of Fame this year and career .308 batting average. Here's a number I have for you, Drew. .922 career OPS, on base plus slugging. There's nobody on the Rockies team right now besides David Dahl with an OPS above .922. That was his career.
He could mash. That's why he got his number retired. That's why he has a bust now in Cooperstown, or a big plaque. Remains 3-2 on Cabrera. Travis d'Arnaud on deck. 1-0 New York in the 2nd. And that ball is left up, and it is a foul ball. It's important tonight to keep the Mets down. We don't want them to have early success. Kind of get that feeling back that the manager's trying to have returned, that looseness that all good teams seem to play with. There's Terry Collins. And ball 4. So Mike Piazza, since we're on that subject, it is his 9th. His first career home run. This is an interesting one. I have to give a footnote to Mark Stat. He did a lot of research on this, but Mark came up with Mike's first home run was September 12th of 1992. It came off of Steve Reed, who would be a Rocky and a great one. Came off Reeder, who was relieving for Bud Black for the Giants. We all know Bud. And in that game for the Dodgers, EY started at second base, and Pedro Estacio threw a 7-0 6-hit complete game shutout to Mike Piazza. So there were former Rockies involved everywhere, or soon to be Rockies. Inside on d'Arnaud, it's 1-1.
Well, to stay on this with Mike Piazza and Rockies, Mike Piazza's last home run came September 29th, 2005 in a Mets uniform off then Sonny Woo Kim.
Yes, Sung-Woo Kim had a couple of moments with the Rockies.
I almost called him Sonny Woo Woo Kim because that's what we called him in the clubhouse.
Remember he pitched really well last couple of months?
He was good. Sonny Woo Woo.
Good arm.
Great arm.
1-1 on d'Arnaud. Wonder how distracted he is today. He can't get on Twitter or Instagram without reading his name. The Mets seem to be in continuing discussions with Milwaukee trying to acquire Jonathan Lucroy. And d'Arnaud's name has come up again in all these rumors as one of the players that Milwaukee would get going back the other direction.
Not only that, in that the daily news on the back page, their news press is asking for Jonathan Lucroy. Has a picture. Something's brewing. They're great with those headlines. They had a picture of Jonathan Lucroy and d'Arnaud's name attached to it.
And a base hit for d'Arnaud. De La Rosa scuffling a bit out of the gate. 4 of the first 6 have reached. 3 hits and a walk.
Ball took a little in between the hop, and you see Trevor Story's glove goes a little bit higher as the ball went right below it.
That'll bring up Justin Ruggiano with his first Mets at bat. Mark was talking about late round picks. Ruggiano was originally a late round pick of the Dodgers, coming out of Texas A&M. Guy's had his moments of success. A couple years back, he had 18 home runs in a Rangers uniform. Big, strong, athletic guy. When you look at the body, you wouldn't think he'd play center field. That's really his natural spot. And the looping curveball's nowhere close. 1-1. I think for Jorge, not that he'll have to work when his baseball career is over. He will not. He's had a very lucrative and well-deserved career from a financial standpoint, but he could be a traffic cop because he generally has folks on base and he works his way out of it typically. 2-1. Walt has said on many occasions, he said, you know, that's De La. Said he's going to get into trouble and he finds a way out of trouble. Not easy to watch though sometimes.
Not at all. Sticking with the Bon Jovi theme for the tonight. Living on the edge.
He's doing that right now. 2-1 on Ruggiano.
Usually that's an Aerosmith song.
Steven Tyler's gone country. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Out of play. 2-2.
You definitely have the sense tonight at Citi Field that the Mets fans are ready to explode. Current losing streak, the way that they've lost, the back-to-back blown saves by Jeurys Familia. Trade rumors. This is a team last year, National League champion, that was in the World Series. Their fan base is hoping that they get themselves back.
Wow. I don't, you know, it started to rain again here, and I don't know if that has any factor. There's no way he would throw a wet baseball. He'd ask for a different baseball, but he's throwing a couple of curveballs that are nowhere close. Ruggiano, who was a 25th round pick back in 2004. Here's the 3-2. He got him on a changeup. A big first out in front of Kelly Johnson.
first at bat for Ruggiano, and the Mets fans are already booing him. Good pitch down in the zone, swings over the top. It's the beauty of De La Rosa's split finger.
And he'll throw it in any count. So Johnson steps up with Colon behind him. This is the big out, you'd think, in the sequence. And on the inside corner, Alan Porter says strike one. Alan Porter behind the dish. Jeff Kellogg is at first. John Tempane at second. Chris Ciccione at third. You can see the raindrops on the helmet of Kelly Johnson. Kelly Johnson has been involved in some deadline deals. Deadline rumors. This guys that's been sought after because he's got some pop, plays both corners, plays second base quite a bit.
He was reacquired by the Mets June the 8th from Atlanta in exchange for a minor league arm. He had a season in 2010 with Arizona where he hit 26 home runs.
He's got pop. The Red Sox got him in 2014, right before the trade deadline, for Stephen Drew. First time he went to the Mets was a few days before the trade deadline last year. This ball on the ground up the middle. DJ can't get it. Around third. Cabrera is going to score, and it's 2-0.
Always seems like walks will come back to bite you. Cabrera leading off the inning with the walk, followed by the d'Arnaud single. De La Rosa pitching through traffic isn't able to get the ground ball double play. The Rockies in a slight shift. DJ playing for Kelly more to pull the baseball, and you can see De La Rosa's response, because that is oftentimes in a normal shift tailor-made double play.
So Colon will try to bunt, and he lays it down foul. Well, the crowd's excited every time he comes to the plate, because here's what he did at Petco against James Shields. He hit a home run at 42, and it took him 31 seconds to round the bases. And for your first career home run at 42, nobody would argue with the length of time it took him to make that trade. He may have been sprinting also, who knows. Stabbed at that, it's 0-2. He had a great line in the clubhouse in San Diego after that ball game. Actually, every reporter wanted to know about the home run. And he said, fellas, it's not my first home run. And they looked at him with a quizzical look. Strikes out, 2 outs. And they said, it's not? He said, I hit a ton of home runs every winter in my Friday night softball league. Play softball Friday nights in the winter. And David Wright got a huge kick out of that. He said, you know, that's Bart. He loves baseball so much he plays in the Friday. He's a big leaguer playing in a Friday night softball league.
How did he not hit that?
Well, here's why. Because he swung 5 minutes early and he missed it by 3 feet. Other than that, it's amazing that he didn't connect again. 2 outs, and Curtis Granderson at the plate. 2 on, and run in. Ball cuts away, ball 1. So the Mets have matched their output from the first 2 ball games. They lost 6-1 last night, 2-1 on Thursday night. They have 2 runs here this evening. De La Rosa was sharp in his last outing in Baltimore. That ball's lined, and it's a foul ball, fortunately. That would have brought home another run. The game in Baltimore was the game the Rockies lost in extra innings. Granderson, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Ugly, 0-59. Hopefully it'll go down a little bit more here. Curveball and a diving stop by Story, and he'll get Granderson at first. That saved at least a run. Great play by Trevor Story. In the inning, there was a walk, a couple of hits, and another run for the Mets. They're up 2-0. This is a wonderful play. Have a base runner yet against Bartolo Colon. They'll have the bottom third of the order led by Mark Reynolds. Folks, if the Rockies score 7 runs or more, you know the drill. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Kind of a steady drizzle late this afternoon. It paused to allow Mike Piazza to speak to the crowd as his number 31 was retired, and shortly after both teams took the field, it had started up again, and kind of a light rain, but it's pretty steady. Mark Reynolds, big ball game last night, a home run and a double. That was a no-doubter, which Mark generally, when he hits them out, he's hit a bunch, close to 250 in his career, they're no-doubters. That's in 2-0.
A 248 career home runs is number 218 all time.
Mark takes a strike. It's 2-1.
I mentioned it last night. That ties him with Ted Simmons and Goose Goslin. Pretty exclusive company, huh?
Well, when you get around 250 home runs, you're pretty much guaranteed to be with a bunch of guys that everybody's heard of. 3-1 count. Colon rarely issues a walk. And on the outside corner, he has a strike. He went 8 straight starts a while back without issuing a walk. I'll tell you a wild story about him. It's a few years ago. Wild one statistically. 3-2. And it's fouled off. He threw 38 straight strikes in a game. Think about that for a second. It's too many. I mean, a pitching coach is going, you can't throw that many over the plate. Show off the plate, miss a little bit, run the guy off the plate a little bit, throw a slider in the dirt. 3-2. And it's on the ground. 2 hops to Flores. Low throw, and it skips away. And the Rockies will get Reynolds to second on the throwing error by Flores. Kelly Johnson couldn't come up with it. That's a little break the Rockies need.
You look at the conditions, it's starting to rain a little bit harder. The grass is wet. You're watching Flores. Can't tell if the ball is wet or if he just makes an errant throw in general. We've talked about this Mets team, and you look at the defense. And for the group, it's not the most athletic defensive unit in baseball.
It looked like, you know, he took his time to get a seam.
It's hard to tell if that was ball or if it was just Wilmer Flores.
This ball lined to center field. And Reynolds will go back to the bag. Nick Hundley hit it on the button, but right at Ruggiano. De La Rosa coming up. Join in on the conversation tonight and every night. Send us your statements, questions, photos perhaps. Use Twitter or Instagram. And please include the hashtag Toyota Talk. De La Rosa has 3 RBIs this year. Brella's out at Citi Field. People didn't know who he was. You were a scout, like a Hollywood script, and you said, yeah, I found this guy. He's 43. He's 5'10". He weighs 260. And he throws nothing but fastballs. But I'm telling you, I think we should sign him. We're like, and what are you drinking?
For softball? Right? Like a softball player? No, for our big league team. And the fans will love him. He can't hit, but it's great.
What other pitches does he have? No, he just throws a fastball.
He moves a lot, though.
Throw really hard? No, he doesn't. 0-2. And he painted. Two outs, and Blackmon will try to produce a hit here to drive in Mark Reynolds. Lowest ERA in any season by a starting pitcher 43 or older. Well, Ryan Express, the Hall of Famer's on there twice. When he was 43, and then in 91 he had a 291 at 44. Clemens at 43 had a 187. Phil Niekro with the knuckleball, and there's Bartolo. Struck out 4, first time through the lineup. Got Blackmon the first time on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball elevated.
I know, talking to Rockies hitters, they say with Bartolo has such a short arm swing. And when I talk about arm swing, it doesn't pull it all the way back. It's just, it's short. It's a short arm, and it's really hard to pick up the baseball with the movement. You're adding a couple factors to make it pretty difficult to hit.
Did you face him, Spilly?
I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't remember if I have or haven't.
I think Sully was all set to face him, and they intentionally walked him to get to you.
Come on.
That's the word coming out of the truck.
All right.
0-2. Your hip shot, two-seamer.
So difficult. When you see that, you have to tell your brain to go ahead and fire. Immediate reactions to jump out of the way, because once you see the baseball coming towards you, most hitters think it's going to hit you. Unless you're Brandon Guyer of the Tampa Bay Rays, and then he doesn't mind it.
Gets hit once a night. Off the plate, good eye, 2-2. Blackmon was 2 for 16 coming into the ball game last night when Charlie threw out the 4-hit game. Reynolds at second, 2-2. Good pass there. And it remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Blackmon, I guess, barrel dry.
I have never faced Bartolo.
What about that Friday night softball league in Santo Domingo now?
I'll fly out there to face him.
Probably doesn't pitch in that league.
You don't think so?
Shortstop. It's an over 40 league.
Think he's the best athlete on the field?
I hope not. 2-2. Probably the highest paid athlete on that field, though. 3-2 on Blackmon.
Such a great example of why movement and location are so important, and how movement and location can trump velocity. Bartolo has the ability to put that two-seamer in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone.
3-2. This one's lofted down the right field line and out of play. Rockies 4-1 on this trip so far. So 2 of 3 in Baltimore, just the second team to go into Camden Yards and win a series this year. Mariners did it in May. And they've won the first 2 here in New York against the Mets, down 2-0 in the 3rd. Reynolds reached on an error. He's at second. And a ground ball slowly hit to second. And Walker throws out Blackmon, and that ends the threat. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Citi Field in Queens. The umbrellas are out, and it has been pretty much raining throughout this ball game. The Rockies without a hit. The Mets have 2 runs on 4 hits against Jorge De La Rosa. Neil Walker out of the 2 spot in the lineup will lead it off in the 3rd inning against De La Rosa. Sharp single to left his first time, and that changeup is high and away. Ball 1.
In between the breaks, I ran into the food room, which is directly behind our booth, and there was so much clamoring. Large group of people all waiting to see Mike Piazza. I was one of them. I didn't get a chance to see him. He's still in the booth next to us.
Shocked that he didn't come over here first.
At first I thought they were for me.
They probably were. Just misinterpreted what you were looking at.
I was like, hi guys, sorry, I'm working right now, but Mike Piazza, he's a big dude. Big deal tonight.
Big deal, yeah. And the curveball dropped in there for a strike. 1-2. We look at some of the other guys in that picture. There was a piece today in one of the New York papers that hoped that the Mets would retire 2 more guys that you saw in that picture. The late Gary Carter, who's in the Hall of Fame. And Gary's in as a Montreal Expo. But he played more than 5 years in New York, part of the '86 World Championship team. Finished 3rd in MVP voting 1 year in a New York uniform. And Keith Hernandez, who I think not only spent
Seinfeld.
6.5 years. This ball's well hit to left, but playable for Dahl. 6.5 years in a Mets uniform, a ton of success, great team from the late '80s, and has been a longtime member of the television broadcast crew, which ties him further to the Mets. There's Taco, Keith Hernandez. And listen, if they retired 17, there's not a one fan that would say, hey, why are they doing that? That seems not appropriate. And the same thing for the late Gary Carter. So perhaps down the road. 1 out, Cespedes, who hit a drive to the wall and left that Dahl caught. He's up for the 2nd time against De La Rosa.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong more often than I'm right. But the New York Mets colors, the blue and the orange that you see, the blue's for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the orange is for the old New York Giants.
You're absolutely right. When the Mets came to be in '62, the color scheme of royal blue and orange was to appease fans of the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants, who played at the Polo Grounds in the northern part of Manhattan, that had departed to the West Coast. And that's why the Mets have those colors. In fact, as you know, when you walk into Citi Field, we usually go in one of the side entrances. Sure. One is named for Tom Seaver, the other for Gil Hodges. But where most fans come through is the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. And Jackie Robinson, of course, was a Brooklyn Dodger. And it looks and has the feel of old Ebbets Field. So in Citi Field, not only the color scheme for the Mets since they came to be in '62, but much of the architecture, or a certain amount of the architecture, was to honor the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And at the time, it's a great marketing scheme in that there were so many people upset that they couldn't see their hometown team anymore.
So let's get both of them.
Like, yeah, have those.
Get the Dodger fans, and we'll have Giants fans. We'll marry them together, and
we'll beat up the Yankees in terms of popularity. 3-2 on Cespedes. And that's inside, ball 4. Flores. Again, the retired Mets numbers. Tom Seaver, who until junior had the highest percentage of votes for the Hall of Fame. He was well above 98%. We go through this around voting time every year, how certain guys weren't unanimous. Tom Seaver won 311 games. Gil Hodges, the manager of the Mets, led him to that '69 World Series title. Casey Stengel was the first Met manager. He had some great lines. Charismatic late Stengel, who managed the Yankees and the Mets. One of my favorites was in '62. Can anybody here play this game?
Not just one person.
Yeah. The Mets famously lost 120 games that year. This is a towering pop-up. Story will backpedal and have a play. 2 outs. Ralph Kiner, from '62 until his passing, was one of the great voices of the Mets. Bob Murphy, Lindsey Nelson, and Ralph, a Hall of Fame Pittsburgh Pirate. Great sluggers in the mid-20th century. And Murphy, Kiner, those were the voices I grew up with. And a show that Dougie, our Dougie, worked on years ago when he first broke into the business, Kiner's Corner.
Kiner's Corner, and I remember Dougie was telling stories about how the visiting team bus, so after a game, it's about 30 minutes after a game, the team bus goes. We go back to the hotel. And for Kiner would interview player of the game, whether it was a Mets or a visiting team, and if one of the players on the visiting team ended up being on Kiner's Corner, they would hold up the bus so that player, because it was an honor. It was an honor for a visiting player to get interviewed by him.
And that's off of Nolan to Story to LeMahieu, out at second base, inning over. That's a play you see every day. 5-6-3 on that force out. And we'll see what the Rockies can do offensively in the fourth. The Mets are up 2-0. Pretty. Yeah, that one was curious.
That
from the Braves
me.
standpoint. You understand why, you know, San Diego's undoing everything they did 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. But didn't understand it from Atlanta's standpoint. This is going to be an easy play for Walker, and LeMahieu's retired. The Rockies are without a hit, and this is you know, a different feel than a few days ago in Baltimore when the Rockies faced Dylan Bundy, and he was perfect for 5 1/3 because his stuff was just filthy. And in the case of Colon, good stuff, but you don't expect not to throw out some knocks, especially with this lineup's history against him. Again, .463 average collectively against Bartolo Colon.
There's been some good swings, but they're fouled straight back.
What'd you see from Nolan his first at bat? He had a fly ball to center field. He's in probably his worst funk of the year.
He's 0 for 14. I'm just not seeing him get to that backside, and we keep talking about it. And after Nolan fouled that ball down, the ball landed right by his feet, picked it up, and he threw it straight into the dirt. You don't see that kind of frustration coming from Nolan constantly. Already 0-2.
And a base hit to snap that 0 for 15. And Nolan has the Rockies' first hit with 1 out in the 4th inning, behind 0-2.
That has to feel so good for Nolan. He's looking up. Back foot moves back, gets to the backside. That pitch is up. More importantly, that had to feel good just to break the little monotonous feeling of going 0 for every day.
That'll bring up Cargo. You have pointed this out. You and I talk hitting quite a bit. Late last night, we were having a long conversation on hitting. And you said, you know what? Guys have to be true to who they are. Nolan's a great hitter. We know that. Nolan is a pull hitter.
He's a pull hitter.
And sometimes, and nobody would do this with Nolan, he's an established superstar. But you've seen it with guys coming up in professional baseball that sometimes coaches try to remake who they are, and perhaps they shouldn't.
One of my closest friends is an example of it, and was a leadoff type hitter, pull hitter, left-handed hitter, and they wanted him to hit the ball opposite field, and it ruined what made him him. And it was never the same. He was trying to fall into the mold of, hey, if you're a leadoff hitter, you're left-handed, hit the ball opposite field. Well, Craig Biggio is a notorious pull hitter. Over 3,000 hits, pull hitter.
Nolan's a pull hitter.
Nolan's a pull hitter, and that's why at times when you see him hitting the ball opposite field, even though there are a lot of hits opposite field, that's not him.
1-1, and Cargo drives this ball to right center field and deep, and it is off the glove of a diving Ruggiano. Nolan had to wait. He'll get to third on a double by Cargo. That was one heck of an effort by Ruggiano, and he's going to get a standing ovation. You know, that reminded me of the barnyard. That reminded me of a Brandon Barnes dive.
Wow, it was right off the edge of his glove. Cargo gives that ball a ride. Watch Ruggiano.
He's lucky too, Spilly, because where he dove, fortunately, he bounced before he hit that padded wall.
If he makes that catch, that's the catch of the year.
I agree with you. If he comes down with that,
that's the catch of the year.
That's one of the greatest catches you'll ever see. Period. End of subject. Wow. But the Rockies now with 1 out have a chance to tie up this game with a knock. Story at the plate.
Cargo with the reaction.
He told Ruggiano, he goes, "You're nuts. Diving that close to the wall." Want to know on Story. And that's on the outside corner. The television sometimes doesn't do complete justice, Spilly, to the movement of pitches, but put yourself back in the batter's box. What is that moving 6-8 inches?
At least, and it has depth to it. It's going down. So not only is it changing planes, it's going down.
One. 2-1. It's a borderline pitch, and it's swung in the direction of Story. You got to be ready to hit with Colon because you know he's going to be around the plate.
It's around the plate, and you just have to choose. I always, again, I use Brandon Webb as a good example just because not the same stuff, but a big sinker. And I would look for the ball almost to start in the left-handed batter's box, up in the zone and fire, because that's how much it would move. I knew it would come back over the strike zone.
Pull to short. He's going to get a run home. Story's going to beat it, and it goes by. Did not go in the dugout. They don't know Story's going. He's got to get to the bag. Safe there. Out now. Came off the bag. You know, when he took off, again, we're watching from up here and say, where's he going? Because Kelly Johnson had the baseball already. He didn't recognize until he was told that, you know, he's naturally looking to the lead runner, Cargo.
Watch the backhand play by Cabrera. Pops out of his glove and has to rush to his feet. Story running hard down the first baseline. And then he does something where after the play, I don't know if it was Neil Walker's tag on his left arm, but he ran off the field shaking his arm.
See, now is that legal? Can you let his hands on the bag and he lifts his hand off the bag? And I think that's what Walt's arguing about right now. Watch this. Called safe, and then he lifts his hand off. Can you do that? Shouldn't be able to do that.
I don't think you can do that. I'm curious what Trevor Story heard as he came off the field as well. They're checking his left hand.
2-1. It's a hit for Story and an RBI. Here's Dahl.
See if it was his left thumb, if he jammed it right into the bag. And sometimes when you do something like that, the natural reaction is to kind of pull it up. So it could have been Neil Walker. And Trevor stubbed his thumb, if that's what he ended up doing, into the bag. His natural reaction to pull back. Walker just carried that hand up with the tag. Wouldn't mind seeing David Dahl try a drag bunt.
Interesting thought. 1-1 count, and Dahl drives one deep right field. Get up and get out. 2-run bomb. How about that? The heck with the bunt. The Rockies take the lead 3-2 on Dahl's second career home run. How do you like this kid now?
I already liked him. Hip shot fastball, David Dahl. I was saying maybe take a bunt, take it down the base with you, put Bartolo Colon to the test. Not if you have pop like that.
4 straight hits for the Rockies against Colon. They did not have a hit coming into the inning.
Wow, what a swing. Short, sweet. Long drive straight through the baseball. Man. That took the air out of Citi Field.
And now Colon's behind Mark Reynolds 2-0. For a wiry 175-pound kid, he generates a ton of bat speed. It's a beautiful swing, Billy.
Sits on that back leg, quick through the zone, and the high finish.
they're giving Story a base hit and an RBI, but they've also attached an E6. Who moved up?
Cargo.
Did Cargo, was he holding initially? That would be the E6.
Yeah.
Because the ball was hit in front of him hard. So that's, okay, so that's why there's also an error attached to that.
We'll have to keep an eye on Trevor Story for his next at bat and see if that hand issue affects him at all, whether it's holding the bat or making the throw.
3-2 on Reynolds.
Well, watching David Dahl, and just because I grew up watching Steve Finley, I think David Dahl, and you look at the size, whenever you're giving a comparable, who's the comp, who does he remind you of? I think height-wise, he's a tall guy, 6'2", lanky, runs well, has the pop. He's a natural center fielder. Obviously, with Charlie Blackmon playing center field, he's in left. Reminds me a little bit of Steve Finley.
Steve Finley was quite an athlete. Played briefly at the end of his career with the Rockies. In the inning, the Rockies are up for 3 runs. Nolan got it started, breaking it 0 for 15. Oh. The big blow, David Dahl's second home run.
During the Mike Piazza ceremony, he looks up to see the number 31 be retired here at Citi Field. Rockies are up 3-2 here in the 4th because David Dahl hit a home run. Mike Piazza hit 427. Ellis Burks, he hit 352 in his career. He knows a little bit about home runs and about Mike Piazza.
When he hits a ball, he really gets it. He gets some serious extension. He stands up, and just the follow through is amazing. But the way the guy hit the ball, you know, it was tremendous. I mean, and for him not to be seen as late as he was in the draft is kind of, you know, you can't ever predict the draft. But anyway, guys like that, once in a lifetime.
I love that comment, once in a lifetime. Jason Mott said that he was down in the Florida State League, and Piazza was there, guys, just rehabbing. And he hit one like he doubled down the line, and then he doubled to the gap. And he said all these rookie guys are like, I got no shot. It seems like the bat is like 15 feet long, the way he swings.
Well, one of the things he did, Mark, and you saw him quite a bit, is this ball's in the air to center field. D'Arnaud's fly ball will be caught by Blackmon, 1 out. He hit the ball with as much power to the opposite field as I can recall.
They had a measure years ago, and they still do. It was the grip test for the grip strength. I think it would go up to 100 if you could squeeze it and get this thing over 60, like whatever it was, like 60 psi. I don't even know the number.
You were a candidate to play Superman in the film.
Exactly, and Piazza could squeeze this thing, and it wasn't even close. Nobody in baseball even had close to the grip strength that Mike Piazza had.
Until Matt Holliday came around.
And Matt Holliday had a lot. Another guy that has a ton of grip strength, David Ortiz.
The David Ortiz that should be the American League MVP.
Yeah, he's front runner right now.
Who could hang out with Colon and tell stories about the 70s together. 1-1 on Justin Ruggiano. Rockies up 3-2 on David Dahl's 2-run home run. 6-game hitting streak for Dahl. Now, as somebody tweeted us last night, just 50 to go till he catches DiMaggio. Last night he was supposed to watch, right? Maybe get in late for defensive reasons. Throws out 2 hits and a walk. He's tapped on the shoulder about 45 minutes before first pitch.
It's a good lesson for him too, as a young major leaguer, not to turn off the brain. Still have to be ready at any time.
De La Rosa, new life, and a ground ball deep short, and skips past. Oh no. Story dove, glove came off, and you wonder if that thumb that he jammed is bothering him. Right now he's biting his shirt to alleviate the pain.
While Weiss is pacing in the dugout, trying to get a good look at Trevor Story. Ball pulled right in that 6 hole. Trevor gives chase to it. Looks like he jammed it again. Oh man, salt in the wound. Here's last inning with the left thumb. Watch it as it drives straight into the bag. And then his hand comes off with Neil Walker. He's coming out of the game.
That's one of the last things you want to see if you're a Rockies fan. Story's not even looking to squeeze that hand. It's kind of just hanging there. Christian Adames or Descalso. It'll be Adames. De La Rosa threw a couple pitches. He's going to watch Adames throw with Nolan Arenado. Story has to leave. Kelly Johnson at the plate. There's Ruggiano at first and 1 out. Where's that? De La Rosa trying to keep his emotions intact. It was low. But did you see his look? We've seen it before.
Seen it before, and we've heard Walt talk about it. Sometimes De La Rosa's one guy on the mound and he's another guy in the clubhouse, and sometimes it's almost like he blacks out, doesn't realize what he's doing on the mound. He gets so in the moment, his brain takes him to a different place.
De La in the clubhouse, a very nice person who is extremely quiet, and on the mound he takes on a different persona. 2-0. Something he has battled throughout his career, particularly early on, handling his emotions. Tonight looking for his 100th career victory. And the Rockies in the 4th inning up 3-2. Johnson singled in a run in the 2nd, and this one gets past. Safe. Gets past Mark Reynolds, and DJ gave him another opportunity. I don't know if it had funky spin or what. But Reynolds whiffed on it. Mark's been outstanding defensively this year.
For De La Rosa, he's been making pitches. That ball just funny English. Unbelievable play by DJ to get back. Maybe take a peek at that again to see how close it was at first. De La Rosa hasn't been getting hit hard tonight. A lot of balls have found its way, and that ends up being a base hit. Whatever holes are in this Rockies infield, the Mets hitters have found it.
Bad thought. Nick Hundley was looking to back pick Ruggiano. Right now, Adames doing a good job keeping Ruggiano close. You get one of those bunts right out there on the dirt, and again, it's so wet, you're going to turn a double play. If Nick can get a 4, say at 3rd, Ruggiano takes off, throw to 3rd, safe. And you can see Nolan saying, I'm not sure. Take a look.
Walt's going for it.
Ruggiano wants to make an impression, I guess, Spilly, in his first game in New York.
Released by the Texas Rangers July 28th, and he's playing in the Big Apple 2 days later. And so far, he's affected the game. If Nolan's able to get that hit before that back foot touches.
You know what? I think he
does.
I think he got him because the back foot, the front foot went by and the back foot wasn't there yet. This angle. Let's see.
So there's no tag. There's a tag. The back foot is.
He's out.
Yeah, he's.
And as soon, because on the other angle, that front foot's not on the bag.
No, not at all.
All right, watch here. Watch the front foot. Oh, you got to slow it down. That's too fast. He's out. Didn't take him long.
But when you look at the slide, we'll watch it one more time. Ruggiano is trying to slide to the back of the bag towards the outfield, and that's why that front foot, you see the angle he takes. That's why the front foot's not able to stay on the bag. And as soon as it goes past, Nolan maintains that tag.
Keep it on him.
Yep.
And Colon strikes out. So a potential threat ends when Nick Hundley cuts down Ruggiano trying to swipe 3rd. 3-2 Colorado off to the 5th. As we go to the top of the 5th inning, Nick Hundley will lead things off. Here's this week's CenturyLink High-Speed Challenge question. What's the average bat speed for a major league hitter? You see your 3 choices there. Go to @RootSports_RM to cast your vote. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Mark Stout on a rainy Saturday night in Flushing, Queens. The Rockies were down 2-0. They got 3 runs in the 4th. They didn't have a hit entering the 4th inning. And with 1 out, Nolan Arenado ended a 0 for 15 with a line shot to left center field for a base hit. Cargo doubled to deep right center despite a marvelous try by Ruggiano to make a diving catch. There was an infield hit by Trevor Story, and then David Dahl hit a 2-run home run to right. You're up to date, 3-2. Hundley, De La Rosa, Blackman. And the one concern now in this ball game is the condition of Trevor Story. He jammed his, it looked like his thumb. Diving in a second, trying to move up on a throwing error by Asdrubal Cabrera. He came out to play defense last inning and then promptly had to dive again, and he threw his glove off when he hit the ground in pain and was removed from the game. Hundley in his first at bat couldn't have hit it any harder. He just hit a line shot at the center fielder Ruggiano. He's had 2 big hits on this road trip. Huge single to drive in a run last night to put the Rockies in front 2-1. And that 2-run home run in Baltimore when the Rockies were getting eaten alive by Dylan Bundy, and he would have mowed down the 27 Yankees that day.
That's the beauty of this run of late for the Rockies, is that it hasn't been one player. It hasn't been you're counting on just Nolan or you're counting on your superstars. Every night it's been somebody.
Typically when you go on runs, Billy, you know that it's the whole 25-man roster contributing.
Look at Scott Oberg last night. 3 pitches in probably the most difficult situation you could ask from a guy.
Well, no, only superseded by the situation he was in the night before.
Exactly.
Bases loaded with nobody out, and he got out of it. Last night it was just merely first and second with nobody out.
Through the heart of the lineup.
Through the heart of the lineup. Amazing 2 days for Oberg, who's down tonight in all likelihood. And that's a base hit for Nick up the middle. So a good start to the 5th inning as the Rockies having far more success the second time through against the 43-year-old Bartolo Colon.
The first 10,000 fans through the gates for the Rockies versus Dodger games on August the 2nd will receive a coupon for an Hebrew National Dollar hot dog. Put whipped cream on it, syrup, ketchup, whatever you people like to put on your hot dogs. I heard Cheese Whiz.
You lost me after mustard. This game's been played in a steady, light rain. De La Rosa trying to get the bunt down. Pulls it back. That's always unnerving for a corner infielder who's creeping in and is 45 feet away, and the bunt gets pulled back. Wilmer Flores, especially on a slug bunt, typically the ball's going to be hit late. Inside, it's 1-1. .35-year-old Jorge De La Rosa.
Helton used to run down from first base and crash harder than anybody in baseball. At times it felt like he was 15 feet away from home plate.
A guy who did that. The 2 guys that were the best at doing it, Todd Helton, and the guy in the booth next to us, Keith Hernandez.
Always important for a pitcher to be able to handle these at bats, or you help yourself out. If you want to try to get to 100 wins, getting this bunt down is important.
It's a fair ball, and the throw goes to second, and they do get the force out on Hundley. It's a good throw by d'Arnaud.
For so many reasons, not getting the bunt down, and you see him stab at it is so important. Number one, obviously you don't have Nick Hundley in scoring position. Number two, you're keeping De La Rosa out on the field longer. For the starting pitcher, you get a chance to, if you get the bunt down, put him in scoring position, sit down, get your water. Now you're on your feet for this entire half inning.
High on Blackman. He's 0 for 2. Charlie 3 for 8 now against Cologne. Strikeout tonight and a ground ball to second. Rockies have won 8 of 9. It's the first time that they can claim such a streak since April of 2013. And they have guaranteed themselves a winning July. And it's the first time they've had a winning month that's not April. They've gotten off to some good starts, as we all know, the last couple of years, but they haven't had a winning month outside of April in quite some time. This ball's lined to deep right field, and it's over the head of Granderson. Short hops the wall, and De La Rosa will go to third and hold there on a double by Blackman.
It dates back to August of 2012. It was the last winning month for the Colorado Rockies. That's 18 months of baseball outside of April. Again, why it's so important for De La Rosa to get the bunt down. That's a run right there. Not only that, De La Rosa is not the fleetest of foot on the base. For a position player, that's a run. For De La Rosa, he's standing at third, and the Rockies still need another hit.
Well, the infield's back with LeMahieu at the plate. And DJ fouls that first delivery off. DJ, a strikeout and a ground ball to second. And you listen, you're a pitcher, but you got to be an athlete now. You got to be a base runner. And De La Rosa, with Flores well behind the bag, Stu Cole's going to coach him up. Infield's back. If it's hit in the middle of the diamond on contact, he's got to be able to score. Back up the middle and on through a base hit. Charlie's around third. Blackman's going to score. Got by Ruggiano. LeMahieu will move up to second. 2-run single for LeMahieu. And the Rockies lead it 5-2.
Now everything works out just the way the Rockies want. You're about to hear the Mets fans rain down boos on the Mets again. Good piece of hitting by DJ, understanding the situation. Put the ball in play. You get a run if you hit it up the middle. Gets rewarded with the base hit. Right past Bartolo, and Charlie, because he's putting pressure on Ruggiano. Ruggiano looks up just before the ball goes in his glove. He ended up slipping again and almost rolling his ankle.
Worthington on the mound with an extended visit with the 43-year-old Cologne. Lugo, who was up and in the ball game. No, he never got in yet last night, actually. Seth Lugo was up last night, but never got in. Rockies have turned the tables on Cologne in the last inning and change, and it began with a Nolan Arenado single in the 4th inning.
What were the numbers that you had with the Rockies hitting against Bartolo?
Coming in 19 of 41, a 463 average, and they didn't get their first hit until 1 out in the 4th inning. They were getting carved up. Nolan hits the ball on the ground to third, and Flores will throw him out. 2 gone, and that'll bring up Gonzalez. The Rockies had gone 12 consecutive games at Citi Field until last night, scoring 3 runs or less, and they had a 10-game losing streak in there. And last night they scored 6, and tonight they have 5. Cargo's going to get the free pass so they can go and match up with Adames, who will have his first at bat. Came in the ball game for Trevor Story again, who had to leave with some sort of hand injury or thumb injury. We'll give you the obligatory line. As soon as we know more, we'll pass it along to you. Cargo a long double in the 4th inning and scored a run. Cargo having a conversation, I think, with Travis d'Arnaud as they were going through the machinations of that intentional walk. So he goes down to first, and here comes Adames, and I bring you back to something that you chatted about a while ago, and that is when a team goes on a roll, you have a number of players contributing. Nick Hundley, we were discussing some big hits on this road trip. Well, here's Adames. If he was going to play, it was going to be very, very late, maybe as a pinch hitter. And now he's thrust into playing more than half the game. He's hitting in Story's spot, throw out a base hit, right?
You can blow this game wide open right here with the quality at bat. Adames 187 on the season, and the splits are about equal versus lefties 185 versus righties 188. It's always hard for a bench player, a guy like Adames, who less than 15 starts over the course of the season. Just get that good rhythm, and he tried in batting practice, but it's different than standing in the game and hitting.
1-1. But again, to the point that when a team gets on a roll, they have a number of different guys contributing, and then you see a guy thrust into a game unexpectedly, and when things are going right, he throws out a hit or two and is in the center of the storm. 5-2 Colorado, and that's a strike. What's worse, wind or rain for a hitter?
Wind. You can deal with the light drizzle. Unless it's a hard rain, then it's more annoying than anything. Wind is my least favorite element.
1-2.
My favorite element to play in?
Snow. No?
No, fire.
You want to be on fire. Two on, 2 outs. Couple runs in. That's that hip side sinker you talked about. He jackknifed out of the way, and that was really close.
You have to tell yourself to fire at it. He's going to do it again. You have to trick your mind to go ahead and take a shot. so effective with Bartolo. He'll show the lefty the hip side sinker and then throw the next pitch outside where the fastball runs off the plate. Fire.
LeMahieu at second will come back. Carr goes at first. DJ a 2-run single. He's got 36 ribbies now. And the Rockies have out hit the Mets 7-6. All 7 hits in the last inning and 2/3. You know, Colon's been effective in holding runners. He did a really good job. He checked on Nick Hundley about 4 or 5 times. He said, well, you know, Nick's not a base stealer. He kept him close enough that on that bunt that De La Rosa laid down, probably reduced his lead by a step, and therefore gave d'Arnaud enough time to get the force.
Same thing right now with DJ LeMahieu with 2 outs. The base runner's top to try to extend the lead. Because the third base coach, Stu Cole, is going to be waving DJ LeMahieu regardless of how hard a base hit is. The hardest things to do in baseball is the relay throw from the outfield.
One of the things that Stu's factoring in is whoever on a base hit, they're going to pick up a wet baseball.
Wet baseball, and that's why Bartolo's paying so much attention.
Good back by Adames. It's now 3-2. Dahl's on deck. Colon working on just 3 days of rest. First time he's worked on short rest since 2005 when he won a Cy Young with the Angels. Just the 6th time in his career.
Well, that last changeup from Bartolo, the last pitch was a changeup, and that might have been the only off-speed pitch he's thrown all night.
3-2. And this one's popped up. Cespedes makes the catch. The Rockies get 2 more in the 5th on the base hit by LeMahieu. They have a 5-2 lead, middle of 5. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. 4-game set in Queens against the Mets as you look at the skyline of Midtown Manhattan. De La Rosa in the bottom of the fifth will see the top of the Mets order with the Rockies up 5-2. Granderson, Walker, and Cespedes. And that fastball in tight, ball one. Granderson a line shot to second. And he had a base hit that would have scored a run. Taken away from him by Trevor Story, who has since departed. There's the 1-0. And that's a strike. A slow start tonight for De La Rosa. He still doesn't have a 1-2-3 inning. Giving up 6 hits. Controlled traffic as he typically does.
This would be a great inning to have that 1-2-3 clean, just because of the momentum has gone towards the Rockies. Get through the lineup with Cespedes in this inning. Put the Mets at a pretty significant disadvantage.
Splitter count, and that's what Granderson will get here. He left it up, and it's foul. Whalers had Granderson's number. They're going to go away. Good pitch. That is a great pitch in an unhittable location. Split finger, and the strikeout of Granderson, the 4th of the ball game for De La Rosa.
That 1 for 12 off De La Rosa. Leave the location. That's a slider down and away. Granderson, you see how he puts the foot down and just spins. It's hard for a hitter like that with those type of mechanics. When you put your foot down and just spin on your swing, anything moving away from you, lefty on lefty, slider away, pretty much you have no shot of hitting that.
Walker from the right side takes ball 1 for 2. And with De La Rosa, we've said this many times, it's almost impossible to tell splitter from slider because his splitter moves down and in to a right-handed hitter and thusly away from a left-handed hitter. And this is a splitter that's popped up. Reynolds will make the catch. 2 outs.
Yoga Day returns on August the 6th. Ticket packages include pregame on-field yoga session and a Rockies yoga promo item. Sorry, no yoga pants in this giveaway.
You're going to be out there, though, on the 6th of August.
No doubt. I'll be wearing yoga pants.
And I will not be positioned next to you. 2 out, Cespedes coming up.
Cespedes has taken a huge liking to golf. And it's been in an article I just read about him. He put on a golf clinic. He barely knows how to play golf. He thinks that when his baseball career is over, he's going to be a professional golfer.
Was he at a Baltusrol earlier today? Taking it all in?
He's not at the PGA Championships, no.
1-0 on Cespedes. Missed the top of the zone. 2-0.
Let's go Mets.
Cespedes hit one here.
Let's go Mets.
Honored Piazza. They got everything covered. And thus they get on TV, right? Ground ball to short. Adames is there. Cespedes can't run, and you were asking for a 1-2-3 inning, first of the night for Jorge De La Rosa. We move on to the 6th, 5-2.
Piazza. They retired his number 31. Eric Young at first base came up in the Dodgers organization with Mike. They played together at first at Vero Beach, and everybody talks about how the guy could really swing the lumber.
Mike used to hit a lot of opposite field home runs and made it look like it was nothing, you know. So he had tremendous power, and home runs were going to come in bunches for this guy. And for him to hit 427, I'm just a little disappointed he didn't get to 500. No.
I love EY's humor. You guys were talking about that longest home run at Coors Field. EY actually scored ahead of Piazza because he was with the Dodgers then. And EY played with Piazza in 2006 in San Diego when EY was 39, and he said, I was hanging on with one leg, and that was about it for EY. But always fun to talk baseball with EY, and good friends with Mike Piazza.
Well, that's a pretty good team in Vero Beach. That fastball from Seth Lugo's at the knees of David Dahl for a strike. Some changes for the Mets. Kelly Johnson has moved from first base to left field. So Cespedes must have aggravated that quad injury because Loney's come in at first. And this is sharply hit to short. And out at first base by Estepes Dahl. More on Seth Lugo.
Only throwing 7 1/3 inning, has given up 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 4 walks. It's a nice opponent batting average in a very small sample size. Good arm. A little sink to his fastball.
Rockies got after Bartolo Colon after the initial 3 innings where he was terrific. He ends up giving up 5 runs on 7 hits, didn't walk anybody. Generally doesn't do that. Actually, he did walk 1. There was an intentional walk to Cargo. 4 strikeouts. Mark Reynolds reached on an error and a pop to second. Loney giving it a look. A lot of guys and gals were here last night because you see the replica jerseys. A lot of fans saw that on the subway today coming over to Citi Field, making a whole weekend of it.
He's a beloved player.
Well, on the sleeve of the jerseys for the Mets this weekend, the patch to honor Hall of Famer Mike Piazza. Tomorrow, the bobblehead.
Must be part of the 7-line army.
That one almost looks homemade.
That's what I'm saying.
Rockies up 5-2. 1 out in the 6th inning. And Reynolds goes down swinging.
Good off-speed pitch by Seth Lugo. 4-pitch pitcher. Fastball changeup. That was the curveball to get Reynolds, give him a little different look.
Hundley with 2 outs, singled his last time up, also line drive to center field.
Lugo was a 34th round pick out of Centenary College in Louisiana, 2011.
That's a Division III school. Old line about if you can play, they will find you, right?
That's right. And if you build it, they will come.
I've heard that. Good athlete. He high jumped 6'2" in high school.
You don't hear that background too often. A high jumper / baseball player?
No. Usually those seasons overlap. Most states, track is a spring sport. 2 strikes on Hundley. Sliders fouled off.
How high was he able to jump? You have that?
6'2".
That's how high. That's how high he got.
6'2" he cleared.
I thought you were saying he was 6'2" and he.
No, he's 6'4".
That's pretty. That's crazy. To jump. I jumped 6'2".
Yeah, it'd be like jumping over Trevor Story without kicking him in the head.
Wow.
My brother-in-law high jumped 7 foot.
Really?
Did win 6'11" in high school. Got another inch in college, and he was a basketball player.
I need to look up what the high jump record is, just because now I'm completely enthralled in it.
2 strikes on Hundley. A bunch of years ago, when I would do some track, Dwight Stones, who still does a ton of commentating on track, was a great high jumper and partner of mine in several different events years ago. And he said, I can't jump at all, but he was one of the world's best high jumpers. It's all, he said, it's all angles, all geometry.
8 feet, 1/4 inches. World record.
5'2", Colorado. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, Jorge De La Rosa is still out there. Wilmer Flores will be his first subject. The Rockies' upcoming home schedule is brought to you by RE/MAX. Monday's a day off at home, and then the Dodgers, who are hot on the heels of the Giants, will be in for 3 ball games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. And then the Marlins, who are ahead of the Mets in the National League East, they're in for the weekend. And then the Rockies will play that Texas two-step with the Rangers. So we said after playing the Braves, and the Rockies took care of business in that home series against the Braves, Billy, the next 5 series are against teams that are all playing very good baseball. And so far, so good. 2 of 3 in Baltimore. The Rockies have won the first 2 here in New York. De La Rosa against Flores. And that pitch on the inside corner, says Alan Porter, strike 1.
Beauty of baseball is that you probably assumed at Baltimore, when they saw the Rockies on the schedule, that, hey, we're going to win the series. If not win it, we're going to sweep them.
Curveball's lifted to left center field. David Dahl out there. He makes the catch. 1 out.
The Rockies, we've said it for a long time, and I know we watch this team, it has felt different the entire season. We saw the infield, we saw the athleticism, we saw the arms that were coming. There was a buzz in spring training that was unlike anything we've seen before. It's starting to play out. We talked about run differential yesterday. Now the Rockies are over. They're plus on the run differential, and that's an indicator. If you look at run differential in baseball, if you have a positive run differential, it usually means that you're above 500. This is the team that's knocking on the door to get to 500 for the first time since May 21st of the season. And as you said, there are some teams that, yeah, the Braves weren't a great team.
But it doesn't matter, because earlier in the year, when the Rockies played teams south of 500,
right,
they weren't making hay. They played better against the teams that were above 500. This is an easy play for Adames. Great pitch. That cutter in on the fist. And Cabrera's retired. 6 in a row set down by De La Rosa. It's not atypical of De La start. He gets stronger.
I think you look at the confidence, and to me that's the most important thing. There's a buzz in the clubhouse. It's fun. You walk into the clubhouse right now with the Rockies, and then guys are talking, and there's music, and you can see it. You see how they carry themselves on the field. You see how they carry themselves during batting practice. Yes, your record reflects how you feel. And even if you have the talent and everything, once you get to that benchmark number of the 500 benchmark, and you start playing over that, watch the confidence of this group grow even more.
And the 0-1 is popped up. And this is going to be another 1-2-3 inning. Cargo finds the baseball, and De La Rosa has set down 7 in a row. We move to the 7th inning. The Rockies 5 and the Mets 2. As they come to the plate in the 7th inning, we'll see if De La Rosa will get a chance to continue. The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. And David Dahl's folks are still here, his girlfriend as well. And tonight he got to capture his son hitting his 2nd big league home run, and it was an enormous blow. It turned a 2-1 deficit into a 3-2 advantage. De La Rosa is due up first, and with the efficiency that he got through that inning, thought maybe he'd have an opportunity to continue into the 7th. He's at 93 pitches, but Walt Weiss going to hand it over to the bullpen, so he'll have Descalso pinch hit leading off the top of the 7th, then Blackman and LeMahieu. And his battery mate, Nick Hundley, going over and shaking hands with De La Rosa. Kind of vintage De La Rosa start. A little wobbly early, and next thing you know, he's putting up a bunch of zeros. You look up, and he's only giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. It's quality start, and he's in line for career victory number 100.
Some of the pitches and some of the balls that ended up leaking through the infield were not hit hard. I mean, for De La Rosa, the movement he creates with the cutter, the fastball, the slider off of it, a little bit of a deception, the cross the body motion. It's rare. You don't see many guys, and we haven't seen it. Like we mentioned earlier, that's 6 now quality starts for De La Rosa in the row on the road. You don't see teams square him up too often.
.30 is in there, and the Rockies have the most road starts this year, allowing 3 runs or less. Well, we have good news on Trevor Story. They x-rayed his thumb. It is a jam thumb. We thought that it had to do with the thumb, and the x-rays were negative.
Probably the best news of the night. The way he was walking off the field, and obviously you're going to pay attention, make sure there's no ligament damage or any other damage that could potentially be there, but that's great news so far.
Descalso leadoff walk, Blackman at the plate, squared around trying to build another run. De La Rosa in the ball game. Goes 6 innings, allows 2 runs on 6 hits. De La walked 2 and struck out 4. This ball hammered to deep right. Granderson's going to have to field this one off the fence for the 2nd time. Descalso to third, holding there on another double for Blackman. His 6th hit and 4th double in the last 24 hours.
That's what we call raking. Charlie Blackman yesterday, 4 for 5 today. Had that other double. He's pulling the baseball tonight. Yesterday, 3 balls opposite field. Hanging slider. Curtis Granderson did not get a good read off the bat. See that beautiful swing of Charlie Blackman. See how he twisted up his feet, turned the wrong way.
Another opportunity for LeMahieu to add to his RBI total. He drove in 2 in the 5th with a base hit. Infield comes in halfway. Descalso at third, Blackman at 2nd. Outfield average depth and shaded a little bit toward right center. Mets at one point had a 2-0 lead. 2nd inning of work for Seth Lugo. Charlie is very underrated, as is the guy at the plate, DJ LeMahieu, and he likes it that way. Keep saying this, it just adds fuel to his tank every day he goes to the yard. And this ball is going to get a run in deep right field, maybe more. Granderson in the middle of the track. Blackman is going to end up at third base. Sac fly for LeMahieu. He's got a 3-ribby night, and the Rockies lead it 6-2.
These are the quality at bats that they start to pay off over time, because so important for the team to continue to add on. For a stretch, the Rockies were borderline abysmal at being able to create runs without hitting a home run. Tonight you're watching quality at bats, understanding situations, putting the ball in play with a runner at third where you can ground ball out, gets you a run.
And they applied the education they received the first time through the order against Cologne the 2nd time through, because it was all Cologne in the 1st set, if you will. To steal a tennis analogy, they'll be playing the U.S. Open here in a few weeks across the way, and it was all Cologne. But in the 2nd set, it was all Rockies against Bartolo. Nolan is 1 for 3. He gets spun around 1-0. This is a And at bat where Nolan really wants to make sure he gets his 79th ribby. Infield's in, 1 out. Good speed at third. That's something you can lift. 1-1.
I like that last pass, though, for Nolan. Saw him fall back a little bit. I've seen swings where Nolan, when he's at his best, you'll see him take a swing and his back knee will end up touching the dirt. He push himself up with his bat. Haven't seen that swing in a while. Sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's a mixture of both. Obviously the base hit snapped in 0 for 15 earlier today.
And this will get the job done. Deep right center field. Ruggiano crashes into the wall. 2 really productive outs. And the Rockies have a 5-run lead. And Nolan has his 79th ribby. That's just good team offense.
It's awesome when you see outs creating runs. DJ LeMahieu, great at bat, being able to drive the ball opposite field far enough for Charlie Blackmon to be able to touch second base, advance to third, and then Nolan with the fly ball deep to right center field. At other fields, that might have been a home run.
And both of those balls were well struck. And you could hear the chatter in the dugout. Way to play the game. Take what the game will give you. Here's Cargo. Hey, the Rockies have hit that magic number of 7. Don't forget to make your way to your participating Taco Bell locations tomorrow between 4 and 6 to receive your Rockies taco special with Moss at Taco Bell. Change up, 1-1. Cargo tonight struck out against Colon and then hit a double to extreme right center field against him. Scored in the 4th, intentionally walked in the 5th. Cargo with a good swing right there. 1-2. That ball he hit last night. I mean, we've seen so many great swings from him and titanic blast through the years. Just looking at the 21 home runs this year, the one against Greinke jumps out at you. The one he hit in the 3rd deck a few weeks ago. That one he hit last night was a top shelf home run. That'll make the highlight reel for him this year. Rockies produce 2 more runs. They're up 7-2 stretch time at Citi Field. 3-11, not pretty in the second half for the Giants. Everything's tightened up in the division. The Rockies have shaved 8 games off of their lead. The Dodgers are right there. Very productive at bats. Last inning for the Rockies. They get 2 runs on only 1 hit. Sac flies by LeMahieu and Arenado. Boone Logan's out there in the 7th, and the first pitch is in there for a strike on Ruggiano.
The numbers for Boone have been fantastic. Low ERAs, pitched so well. Opponent average all the way down to 152.
And he went 0-2.
And as with Boone, health has been a key. We've talked about it, how important just getting the fastball is and what fastball velocity does for certain guys. When you see a drop with Jason Mott, Jake McGee, how the margin for error gets slimmer and slimmer. Well, for Boone, it was getting that slider back, the bite.
Cargo in right. He's got those sure hands. One gone. Kelly Johnson coming up. How about the bullpen in the second half? These 3 gentlemen in particular, Logan, Lyles, Ottavino. They have not given up a run in the second half. And Carlos Estevez has been brilliant so far in the second half. Kelly Johnson takes a slider for a strike. You really would be hard pressed to throw the baseball any better than Boone Logan's thrown it this year. He had that one period for a couple of appearances where, and listen, you're not going to be perfect, where he had a couple of outings that were a little bit rough. Other than that, he has been lights out.
Lights out. Hitters are now 15 for 101.
Think about that. 15 for 101.
15 for 101.
That'll keep you up nights if it's one guy, right?
Oh my goodness! If it's one guy, you might look for a fungo and some. Just trade in your cleats.
James Loney getting his first at bat. Takes ball 1. Came in a couple innings ago. They took Cespedes out of the ball game. Kelly Johnson was at first, moved to left field.
James Loney's a great hitter. Just missed that slider by about 2 feet.
Got success against Logan. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs in the 7th. Crowd was into it early. It's been a library since that time. This ball's well hit. Cargo got a great read on it. Tucks it away like a wide receiver running a 9 route. 1-2-3 inning for Boone Logan. Boy, we've said that a bunch. 7-2 Rockies.
Mets, and he had a lot to say. And in fact, he watched the ceremony about Mike Piazza.
He's kind of the poster boy for the low round pick that overachieved, and talk about overachieving. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, but I think you know, a lot of people bring up Mike Piazza when you're trying to motivate a low round pick, you know, and that's pretty cool.
Spilligus, what's that like when you know, that dynamic in the clubhouse when you know a guy is either, you know, high pick or low, and you know, you're battling it out as teammates? Does it matter?
There's times where you're in the training room and you're making fun of each other.
Right. I mean,
find
but,
out, you know what.
It's all a team.
At the end of the day, once you put on your uniform as a major leaguer, it didn't matter which round you were picked in. And that's the beauty of it. That's why it makes the game so much fun, because the best player on your team could end up being the lowest pick.
Well, Jeff Houston, and Jeff's so modest, but he's told me the story. He signed as a college free agent after his senior year, playing in the NBC in Wichita. Dahl fouls that off. It's 1-1. 2-run home run earlier in the ninth for David, his second home run. And when he was offered, it was $1,500 in a plane ticket. Obviously, he took it. And he was nervous at spring training the next year. He said, you know, I was wondering if he belonged. He wasn't drafted. And the first field he went out on, some, you know, back remote field. And when they start working out, he's looking around, he's watching the actions of everybody. Not that there weren't really good players out there, young guys, but he said, you know what, I do belong. And of course, he ended up playing 10 years in a week in the big leagues as an undrafted guy.
Well, a friend of mine, Doug Bernier, was drafted, undrafted, out of Oral Roberts. And the other day, he's still playing. He's in the minor leagues playing, I believe he's with the Texas Rangers. Hit for the cycle.
Good for him. He's a guy that's been with the Rockies in the past in their system. He was a guy a few years back, Spilly. You know, there's always one guy in spring training who goes on every trip and gets more at bats than anybody. It was Doug Bernier one year. This ball's hit to left and angling out of play. Kelly Johnson, no shot.
Doug Bernier, his first year, we were in short season A ball, hit 197. He backed it up with the fantastic year in Visalia the next year at 201.
I think you're going to go home, right?
And he probably should have, but he could pick it. He was as sure a hand of an infielder as you've ever seen, and really started working on his offensive numbers and everything. The next year, hit 272.
Couldn't hold up a strikeout. That's the fourth strikeout for Seth Lugo as Dahl is gone. That'll bring up Mark Reynolds.
The next Fan Friday is August 5th, and the first 10,000 fans will receive a Fan Friday Rockies baseball cap courtesy of KOA News Radio. I'm thinking back to this 2002 draft that I was a part of, like I mentioned before about Doug Bernier, because it's fascinating whenever you see guys that are undrafted and play the game as long as certain guys have. I can't think of many people left. Jeff Francis retired last year as part of the 2002 draft. Jeff Baker was part of the 2002 draft. I don't think he's anywhere. Other than that, there's nobody left from my draft class, and Doug Bernier is still playing.
Says something, huh? 1 ball, 1 strike. And you have to make an impression quickly if you're an undrafted guy or a late round guy, because the economics are such that, you know, if there's a lot of money tied up, and you're going to get more chances to fail than the guy that was drafted in the 35th round. Lugo has a 1-2-3 8th inning. The Rockies have a 7-2 lead. Here's our Kubota pitching performance of the night. De La Rosa was outstanding after a slow start. 2 runs on 6 hits. And typical of a De La Rosa outing, he settled in late. Jorge De La Rosa retired the final 7 hitters he would face, 93 pitches. And he's in line for his 100th career victory. Our Kubota pitching line tonight on Jorge De La Rosa. In the 8th inning, Curtis Granderson will lead things off, then Neil Walker, and we'll get a pinch hitter. Road games allowing 3 runs or less in the big leagues this year. The Rockies are #1. And they're 23-8 in those games. If you ask
Anybody,
Joe Fan.
I was just at MLB Network yesterday, and I mentioned some of these numbers of the Rockies, and the experts were, yeah, who? What? No, you're lying.
If you ask, forget Joe Fan, if you ask some of the quote-unquote experts around the country, said, what team's #1? The Rockies would be the 30th option. They would be.
They would be.
Based on their, and understandably so, based on their pitching history.
Remarkable jump from the last 2 seasons.
Jordan Lyles now on the mound. 2-1 count, working to Granderson.
Something as simple as just walks per 9. The drop in numbers of walks for the Rockies between the last 2 seasons. Obviously, you have Tyler Chatwood, and he's pitched so well on the road. You're talking about John Gray taking a step forward. Chad Bettis has been fantastic. Tyler Anderson can pitch anywhere. It's been a remarkable jump forward for this Rockies franchise.
Granderson fouls off 95. Jordan Lyles is interesting. His whole career he's been a starting pitcher. Thought he'd be a member of the rotation this year, and he stumbled early. And now he's working out of the bullpen. And it has really grown on him. He has bought in. That's not always the case.
Not always the case, and I think for Jordan, just understanding you're a major leaguer. You have a major league arm, you have major league stuff. At this time, the guys in front of you that are the starting pitchers are better. But you can have a great career as a relief pitcher. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think sometimes also when you let it all hang out and you have the arm talent that Lyles has, all of a sudden you start seeing yourself say, man, I can be successful in this, because Jordan can work 94 to 97 if you're just talking about an inning, and he's got good natural movement on his fastball. 3-2, and it's got Tommy Goodwin hopping out of the way.
Just to put it again in perspective for you when we talk about the walks per 9. Rockies ranked 3rd in the National League for the relievers.
Broken bat roller to 3rd. And Nolan gets Granderson by half a stride, 1 out.
Live Rockies baseball is here with MLB.com. At bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with stats, news, and more. I use it every single day.
You know, one thing that was nice in coming to New York, we were mentioning especially when the Yankees were out earlier this year, all the New York papers were like, it's a chance for the Yankees to make hay against the lowly Colorado Rockies, even though at the time the Rockies virtually had the same record as the Yankees. And the Rockies took 3 of 4 this year from the Yankees, and they're 5-0 on the cusp of going 6-0 against the Mets this year. But there was none of that written with the Rockies coming to town over the last few days. Got to earn respect. The Rockies are starting to do that. 1 ball, 1 strike on Walker. So that pitch was exactly what we were talking about. That's 95 with a heavy sink.
And he can back it up with the cutter that's 90 miles an hour.
He sets up in, and that's that cutter. Just missed. 2 balls and a strike.
That's a lot of movement from Jordan Lyles right there. It's like the transformation of Joe Blanton. Joe Blanton, starter for nearly 8 years in the major leagues and has completely transformed to a fantastic relief pitcher.
That's a good call. Noah Syndergaard.
Nice play, Noah. He's pitching tomorrow.
I just thought he was bigger. Finding Nemo. There he is.
I like what you did right there.
What did I do? This is in the air to shallow center. Blackmon coming quickly. He's got it, 2 outs. The last base runner for the Mets was Kelly Johnson with an infield hit in the 4th. Since that time, 12 in a row set down by the combination of De La Rosa, Logan, and Lyles. Terry Collins thinking about what they're going to play in the clubhouse tonight to try to loosen up a team that is staring at their 5th straight loss. Brandon Nimmo, good to see him in the big leagues out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. #1 pick of the Mets a few years back. Which is always a great story because they don't play high school baseball in Wyoming. Played for a talented Legion team out of Cheyenne.
Credits his dad, his family, for driving him all over the country to play in tournaments. Play about 70 to 80 games a year. Drive to Nebraska, to Omaha.
Played a ton in Colorado, you know that.
Nemo's name has been thrown around along with Travis d'Arnaud. The whole Jonathan Lucroy, Milwaukee Brewers. You always wonder for some of these young kids how much the Twitter and how much the rumors seep into the clubhouse. Yeah, PR does a great job of trying to prevent it from you.
I can't recall, Spilly, because I try not to pay attention to the rumors, but you know, certainly I'm not a player. They didn't involve me also, but were you ever rumored to go somewhere, and was it an issue for you?
It's rumored, but no, it's never an issue, but you can't help but look.
Good strong inning for Jordan Lyles in the 8th. 13 in a row set down by the Rockies. 7-2 they lead. bases after he blasted a mammoth 3-run home run. Numbers on Bastardo.
Fastball slider type pitcher, spent a lot of time with the Philadelphia Phillies and was a free agent signed for the Mets late in the winter.
Nick Hundley will lead it off. It's good news also. We told you a story that the jam thumb, the x-rays were negative. Ryan Rayburn's in the on-deck circle. So the knee is good enough after getting hurt pregame yesterday to swing the bat tonight. He was in the lineup originally yesterday against the lefty Mats.
That's
got
to be
scratched.
That's got to be frustrating for Rayburn in the starting lineup, and don't get many starts of late with Dahl and Cargo and Blackman, and to get hit by an errant throw and you miss your start. I'm gonna guess he gets Syndergaard tomorrow. Have fun with that.
You think he's gonna get Syndergaard?
Why not? He missed the start. Gonna make it up to him.
You can see a lot of lefties tomorrow. 2 strikes on Hundley. One out in the 9th inning. I shouldn't say that. One out in the one out in the top of the 9th. I'm sorry. Got confused for moments. Tomorrow's starters: Chad Bettis for the Rockies, looking for his 10th victory to match Tyler Chatwood, who won his 10th the other day. Noah Syndergaard is 9-5 with a 245. And we're on the air at 10:30 tomorrow, back home with the pregame show. Join Jenny and Corey for breakfast. Rayburn swings and misses on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Two. I'll tell you what's been good tonight also, Spilly. When we got to the ballpark, I thought this was going to be that's a fair ball.
Stay hot.
It'll be a base hit for Rayburn. He looked down after the check swing, and then he looked up.
That's awesome.
And he sees Jeff Kellogg saying, "That's fair."
His teammates are like, "Come on, that's not fair. Check swing."
Watch Rayburn's reaction. Okay. Whoa, that's a fair ball.
Oh yeah, I get to get a hit. Sweet. Come on, man. Smiles all around.
Rockies had 13 hits last night. They're at 9 hits tonight. And Blackman has doubled each of his last 2 at-bats. Takes strike 1 from Bastardo. No, but when we got here, you thought this is going to be one of those long nights. It's going to be 3 rain delays, and who knows what will happen. He's played right through. Delayed a little bit at the outset. And they were going to be delayed a little bit also because of the Piazza ceremony, retiring his number. And because they had the tarp on the field, they did the ceremony with the tarp on the field, and they had to clean up the field. So instead of a 7:10 to 7:20 start with the ceremony, it was pushed back to 7:45. James Loney's still laughing about it with Rayburn.
As we were watching Rayburn running down to first, you could see there was still a little hiccup in his gait, a little limp. Not sure exactly where he was hit with the errant throw yesterday.
2-2. Slider misses. 3-2. DJ's had a nice ball game. 3 ribbies. Single to drive in 2. Sac fly his last time up. 1 out, 3-2. With Rayburn at first, Loney's now moved behind him. Fouled off. That would not happen at Coors Field. Now with a 5-run lead. It's a courtesy thing, but at Coors Field, because of the number of runs that are scored there, it's still game on.
We've seen 10-run 9th innings.
Going to be out of play over the Rockies dugout. Trade deadlines moved a little bit this year, in case you did not hear. Normally it's on the 31st of July, but the commissioner, and I thought this was appropriate, didn't want it interfering with the integrity of the games played that afternoon, where guys would be held out potentially.
Yep. It's a Sunday. It's Sunday game. A lot of day games going on.
Sure, and so it's been pushed to Monday.
Mets fans are aggressive for foul balls. I just saw it's a full-on scrum. I thought they won the World Series in the crowd and they were dogpiling. No, it wasn't. They were just trying to get that foul ball.
Ball 4. Good at bat from Blackman. Great evidence of who Charlie is. He never gives away an at bat. Total focus no matter what the situation is. And that'll push Rayburn to second. And another opportunity for an RBI for LeMahieu.
You elected to celebrate Trevor's story during the next player-elect game on Wednesday, August 3rd. He should be healthy and happy. Now buy the ticket package online and get an exclusive story t-shirt.
Stick with us on the post-game show. We'll have more on Trevor's injury to his thumb. Mark Stout in the clubhouse. Good swing, 0-1.
Even though Charlie Blackmon is 2 for 4, the last at bat, earning that walk. You're 2 for 5. It's a nice night. 400 on the night. 2 for 4 with a walk. 500. Obviously, you'd like to get another hit. Keep adding to the score. But for those leadoff guys, you get so many more at-bats than guys towards the bottom of the lineup. And not throwing away at-bats late in the game when it's your 5th at-bat, it saves your average. That's why Charlie's hitting over 300.
2 strikes on LeMahieu. Some good news, at least right now, in Los Angeles. They're in the 5th inning, and the Diamondbacks leading Scott Kazmir in LA 3-0. The Giants did win. Jenny told you about that a little earlier. The Rockies could pick up a game on the Dodgers tonight. This ball's in the air to center field and deep, and it is hauled in by Ruggiano. Rayburn will tag and move to third. And with 2 outs, Nolan will come up again.
This could be a big at bat for Nolan's confidence. Last at bat, the sac fly to deep right center, squared it up. Whether it's a broken bat single, check swing, volley down the right field line, he doesn't care. A good result right here is definitely going to help that confidence out. You want hits. Times you hear a coach say, well, you hit it hard, it was a line drive. I don't care, I wanted to hit.
Ball 1 on Nolan. Snapped an 0 for 15 with the hit in the 4th inning. And a sac fly in the 7th. And it's 2-0. Sometimes good takes can get you going too, right?
Great takes and good observation, and that's important for Nolan. Even a quality take is important because you can start feeling your confidence. Yeah, I saw that pitch. All right, let's go. Throw it in here.
Well, you give Darno credit for the block, but I think the ball found him as opposed to him finding the ball, because that thing was 4 feet in front of home plate. Mets fans are too tired even to boo now. Too distraught. 3-0.
Well, if the score holds, 2 things I'm looking forward to tomorrow. The chance of a 4-game sweep for the Rockies to come into Citi Field and to read the Daily News headlines.
The New York Post and the Daily News will have a whole lot of fun. Chase there. 3-2.
Nolan's grinding through this at bat.
Another 3-2, and Bastardo steps off the back. Rockies have allowed 2 runs tonight. Their road ERA at 3.59, coming in 3rd best in the National League. If this holds up, it'll go down even further. Arguing with Alan Porter because he got an equipment violation there. Just got fined. He spiked his bat. He didn't get thrown out by Alan Porter, but Spilly, you're familiar with the rule. You can get fined for if you're overly demonstrative. Watch Nolan here when he's called out, and he did go. As much as anything, frustration. Rockies up 7-2. Need 3 more outs. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rocky. Citi Field in Flushing, Queens. And the Rockies are 3 outs away from making it 3 straight against the Mets here in Queens. Wilmer Flores is at the plate. The new pitcher for the Rockies, Gonzalez Germen's fastball is low, ball 1.
Germain hasn't pitched since July the 24th against Atlanta when he threw 2 innings. He's been one of Walt's most dependable arms coming out of the bullpen. Notice the innings pitched.
Got an excuse me swing there.
When you have the team and you're on a run and the starting pitching's been pitching so well and you're using your main guys to close out the game, you don't get to see much of Gonzalez.
That ball is hit really well to left field. And Dahl makes the catch. Or no. Oh, it's gone. That kid, did he reach over the wall? That's what David Dahl's saying. We're going to take a look at this. I think. Yeah, Walt's coming out.
David Dahl gets to the wall as you're taught. That kid reached over
He reached over the wall.
And then he gloated.
That's not going out.
Yeah, I hope he gets kicked out for gloating. Not supposed to show gloat.
Going to be close, but I don't think that was going to go out.
Oh, please, nothing would make me happier right now to reverse this on the kid. What was the name of the kid for the Yankees back in the day? Jeffrey Mayer.
Every Yankees fan will always remember that name.
What do you think, Drew? I think it's fan interference.
I think there's no question he reached over.
Oh, he's way over the fence. Come on.
And I also think if you watch where David is, he's going to make that catch.
He is going to catch that baseball. Now, I'm not into an eye for an eye, but I wouldn't mind if David Dahl does the same gloating dance right back.
Scoreboard, dude.
He dropped the Matumbo finger on him, too. Let's see what happens. Come on.
They're studying it on Park Avenue. There's Chris Ciccione. He's there along with Jeff Kellogg. Kellogg's the crew chief. Chris went out to determine on that fly ball whether it's out. I know Chris will stay in New York after this series and be part of the crew that will work. You know, crews regularly go through New York and
sure,
they work the reviews. And that's where Chris Ciccione's headed the first part of the week.
If it takes them that long to figure it out, they're probably saying it's an out or trying to figure, obviously, interference. They're going to award him a double.
Out.
Yeah.
Now, there you go. Yeah. Charlie looked right at him and said, what do you got to say now?
Oh, that's great.
That kid's got a story for the rest of his life. It's the right call.
It is. It is. It's, that's great. Well, I hope David Dahl gets a chance to sign that baseball for the kid after the game. That's hilarious. Hold on, before you throw him out of here, let David sign the ball.
They're ejecting him with one out in the 9th inning.
I wonder if he ranks as, you know, we'll get Elias Note, youngest kid to get ejected from a baseball game.
Do you know what?
That's great.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's like, it was over the top. I'm not big at barking at players, but that's fouled off. He will never forget around 5 of 11 in the 9th inning on July 30th when he's sitting out there in left field. Caught a baseball. Talk trash.
See you, buddy. Smell you later.
And got thrown out.
I hope we sit next to him on the 7 train going back to Manhattan.
That'd be funny. Cabrera with 1 strike, 1 out in the 9th. The Rockies up 7-2. I don't think a fan's going to be able to touch this one. Christian Adames got it. 2 outs. Well, what we didn't see is that Terry Collins was ejected. That had to be after the result. You can't argue after a video review. So Jeff Kellogg, you know, didn't waste much time and ran him. Mets are a frustrated bunch right now. Travis d'Arnaud getting the last base runner for the Mets with 1 out in the 4th inning, an infield hit from Kelly Johnson. 15 straight retired by the Rockies.
There's no joy in Mudville.
Or in Queens. A lot of joy in the Mile High City right now because the Rockies are 2 strikes away from getting back to 500. And now they're a throw from DJ to be in there. The Rockies are at 500. They win tonight 7-2. They're 6-0 against the Mets this year. And they are now 5-1 on this trip. They've won 9 of their last 10. Their 15th win in July. Smiles all around. The Rockies are officially on a roll. They are 52-52. The Mets fall to 53-50. And congratulations to Jorge De La Rosa. Career win number 100.
It's a fantastic company, and for a Mexican-born player, he ranks up there amongst the Fernandos and the other great countrymen. It's a great number. That's a milestone for him and his family. Congratulations to the De La Rosas.
And our Jimmy John's delivery of the game, the work tonight of Jorge De La Rosa. Early on, they gave up some loud outs and they nicked him for a couple of runs, but then as Jorge typically does, he settled in. He retired the last 7 he would face. And De La Rosa, at the end of the day, had a very fine line. 2 runs.